everyone. Thank you for watching this episode or channel. This is my first interview, and it's with a web developer in Japan who comes from Brazil. And he has an interesting story, which I wanted to share with everyone. So, hello, Ravi.
Hey,
how's it going?
Thank you for inviting me, Tyrone.
Yeah. As you see that, I bowed quickly. It's just a habit of being in Japan.
Yeah.
So
I have this a lot as well.
So just let everyone know, like, where do you come from in Brazil?
Yeah, I come from Fortaleza. It's like in the northeast near the sea. So it's hot every year. So I don't have I don't have the seasons that we have here. So it's really different. Like just by living here, I can like experience the time changing, like the stations changing. Yeah, it's really different from where I come from. Yeah.
So Japan's like a massive jump for anyone, like even myself in New Zealand, you're from Brazil. And let's go to this. I want to just go a bit back where you started, and then we'll gradually go through. So you studied, I think you told me you studied robotics, was it, in Brazil?
Yeah, mechatronics engineering, yeah.
And from that, did you always think I wanted to work in Japan? How did you get interested in Japan?
So yeah, so the first time I got interested was like probably like very common because I watched a lot of animes, like the famous ones that everyone watches, and I thought that the letters, like the way they write things and stuff, was really like I just had a lot of curiosity for the Japan, like in general. And of course, there is like a strong image of Japan being like very, how can I say, very good at tech, right?
Yeah.
Like robotics and stuff. So while I was studying mechatronics engineering in Brazil, I got the chance to come to Japan. And since I thought it was going to be really good for my college like experience, I came and I loved it here. And now I'm here like for a long time.
So if we back up there, so you went to Japan via college first. How does that work? So if there someone in Brazil going to college, how can you come to Japan?
Yeah, unfortunately, that program I came from is not working anymore. Like it was like a temporary program, like Science Without Borders is the name.
Science Without Borders.
And yeah, and a lot of people came on this like period, but nowadays there are other programs. If you search, you can find, especially if you live like in Sao Paulo or places like this, there's always like some program to study abroad for a year or something like that. Yeah.
So that was a kind of study abroad via your current, university into Japan. That was the system.
Yeah, the system is actually the government system. So a lot of colleges in Brazil, like almost every college in Brazil, can apply to this program and come here. So this was the way I came. Yeah.
So once you came here, you studied here for like what, 2 years, was it?
1 year.
1 year. And that was
Yeah.
So you graduated in Brazil, then 1 year in Tokyo, or where?
It was before I graduated. So I was still on the middle of my college in Brazil. I paused it and came to Japan to study 1 year. And after this 1 year, I came back and I used some of the knowledge, not a lot, but some of the knowledge, the things I studied in Japan, I used in my college in Brazil, like to finish earlier. And after that, I finished my college and came back to search for a job.
And so I suppose you can, like, the kind of credits you can take back home kind of thing, like, so you don't have to work as hard the last year.
Yeah, that's right. But I think this is different for every country and every college, but you need to have like some kind of like the credits need to be similar, right? So they need to check a lot of things, what you're learning inside these credits to see if they can use it. So almost everything is useless, but some of the things we can use to take credits in Brazil.
So was any of it tech related? Like, you're an engineer, web developer now? Did you at that time? Did you study anything about web or programming?
Not web, but programming, yes. Was a lot of like assembler and making like a robot to follow a black line or stuff like that. Like
quite low level,
a little bit, yeah,
kind of a computer intensive kind of code, if that's the right word.
Yeah. More like firmware related code, yeah.
And so when you came to Japan, the second time, how did that work? Did you come on a holiday visa or student visa? Like, how does that work in that case?
Yeah, I came on a student visa. I tried the MEXT. I don't know if you know about it.
MEXT.
The MEXT is like a Japanese government program to come to Japan to study here. So if you can get into MEXT, it's probably the best way to come to Japan, because it's you're gonna receive a scholarship and you're gonna be able to live here and study and without having to work. You don't need to work. You can just receive the scholarship and live here. So it's kind of that. Yeah, it's kind of hard to get in, and I think it's worldwide, but it's really hard because it's a lot of people trying. And I could get like to the final interview, but only from my region, only 2 people would get chosen, and there were 6 people on the final, so I didn't get chosen on the interview.
So coming as a student, then you had to apply for a school first, or how does that work? From Brazil, you apply to a Japanese school and get like some type of certificate.
So after I didn't get into MEXT, I decided to try to get a student visa in some other way. So I applied to a Japanese language school. I think the name is ALA, is Academy of Language Arts. So I entered this school and I got a 1 year and 3 months visa, a student visa for that. And it is kind of expensive. So like if I'm not mistaken, it was about $5,000 or something like that for the 6 months, for 6 months of school, I think. Yeah.
After that, so once you go through the student, why couldn't you just get a job straight away? Like, that's the part I'm trying to think. Is it difficult? Like, you just go, I want to work now.
Yeah, I wanted to do that. I actually did one interview to try to get a job directly, but it is kind of hard. Like, I think it wasn't a good interview. I tried one interview and it wasn't good. I just thought maybe I should just go there and give up like this remote interview stuff and try to find a job there. And I don't regret it, because being here, you can like go to the interview on the place and see how is the company itself and how they work and feel the vibe of the place, right? And this was really good for me, I think.
So after that, after you studied Japanese, then did you always know I want to be a engineer of some sort? You always thought so, or was there a point when you go, okay, I want to become an engineer?
No, I was always like, since I started college, I started study programming, and I really loved programming. So anything related to programming, I would like to do. I didn't like even had some specific, like I want robotics or I want web dev, I want this. I just wanted programming. So when I was searching for a job here, I was searching a lot of things like related to programming, even robotics and web dev and mobile dev and things like that.
So I suppose when you're young out of university, you just really want something just to start, right? You're like, I just want to get something.
Yeah.
And so okay, then then that step was going after the school, after you went through the student visa, did you have to rush to find a job? How does that process work? After you went to going through ALA, how does that step work to go to become an employee?
Yeah, so I entered the ALA and I started to little by little like try to understand how Japanese people find jobs, right? Because I had no idea of how was the process. So I started like asking like what websites there are and what events there are, and I started to apply to those things. And at some point I started to go to those like setsumekais, the meetings that they explain the company for a lot of people, and then you can start to apply to that company. So I started to go to those things, and maybe 6 companies I was like in the process. And from those 6 companies, 2 of them was going like forward, and one of them was really good. I got the night day from it, and I just chose it and stopped the search.
And so once you were a student and you got confirmed the job, did they sort out your visa for you? They just, everything was smooth, or?
Yeah, it was quite smooth. I had some companies, they do everything for you like a proxy, but in my case, it wasn't like that. They just gave me the documents, all the
They said,
documents
go to immigration.
yeah, I needed to go to the immigration and do it. Like it take a whole day because it takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
But it was really smooth, and I got 5 years like from start,
That's
because
awesome.
some people just take 1 year or 2 years.
Yeah.
So I got the 5 years was really good. Yeah.
So that you must have been so happy to get that first job. You must have been calling your
Yeah, I
friends
was
and I got
thrilled.
it. Yeah, I
It was
know.
really great.
So yeah, that's awesome. And
Because I was actually like giving up a lot, right? Because to go to ALA, I sold my car and I used my savings to buy the airplane ticket. And I came here without like a backup plan. It was like this or nothing. I would need to go back to Japan, to Brazil, and I don't even know how I would like find the money to go back.
so did you fund your own studies, or a lot of it, or most of it?
For the Japanese school.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a like old car that my mom had gave me, and I
Mm.
sold it to apply to the school. Yeah.
Wow. Did you have a like a part-time job before you came, or your like some small savings or something?
Not really. My parents actually helped me a lot with this, like with the plane ticket and
Yeah.
everything. So that was really good. But I didn't have like a lot of ways to come here. Yeah.
So you couldn't party in Shibuya every weekend.
No.
You couldn't go to izakaya whenever you want or buy some cool clothing, right?
Yeah, that wasn't on the schedule.
Now you can though. Now you can.
Now I can.
That's cool. So how was the like culturally? How was that? Because of course you studied Japanese at the school, right? That was a language school.
Yeah.
How would that feel? Maybe you had some work experience back in your home country, but how did that culturally feel when you're in the office? Was it scary, or like did you have to wear a suit? Everyone's bowing. You're like, oh, I don't want to get in trouble. Or how's that culturally?
So yeah, I think it was actually surprisingly smooth, I think. I was worried because I hear a lot like Japanese are really rigid people, and they have like a very strong mindset, that very like traditional people, right?
Yeah.
So I heard that and I was kind of scared, but people, I think maybe it's because we have like a gaijin pass, right? I like to say it like a gaijin pass,
Yeah.
because people know that we have different cultures, so they usually like forgive us if we do like something bad. For example, they always talk politely with each other, right? But it's kind of hard to do this politely, and like for some people you talk politely, for some people you talk like friends. This change is really hard for like foreign people. So I would just do like the friend way to talk to everyone, and even for my managers and stuff. And they felt like a little bit maybe strange, but they forgave and didn't like get mad at me because I wasn't being polite with them.
Yeah, I think that is interesting. People have this perception of Japan, but you have to remember that we're foreigners, so that the rule doesn't apply always, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Same as me. Even I talk to some guys like up there guys, like some Erai guy, and I don't know how to speak Keigo. Like I'm pretty bad at speaking
Yeah.
politely, so I just go, whatever,
It's
man.
very hard.
So
Yeah,
that's a
I think that's something that I think it's actually good, because when you speak in Tameguchi, in the without using Keigo, you kind of it's easier to make friends. Like you break like a starting barrier that people usually Japanese usually have with that way to talk.
But did you learn? You must like you've been working in Japanese companies for like 5 years now, then, right? Over 5.
Yeah.
So you must be really good at Keigo, maybe right now. Pretty decent.
I can speak if I try. I usually don't try.
Yeah, I gave up a long time ago. I gave up.
Yeah, if like I'm going to a client, talking to a client or something like that, then I try and I can speak. But usually inside the company, with the people from inside the company, even for people that I don't even spoke before, I usually don't try to speak in Keigo.
But your job now is all in Japanese, then, right? There's
Yeah, all
no.
in Japanese.
So your company doesn't have foreign. I mean, non. If you're working in a company, you better speak Japanese, right? Like that's.
Yeah.
And are there other foreigners around you?
Not before, like there are Chinese and Korean, a lot of Chinese and Korean around, but
What
like
about like
from
South
Orient,
American,
yeah, South
American,
America,
America?
not
No.
much. I think I know one person only. Yeah.
And then so that you have been 5 years. I think I saw your work history. Like you changed jobs after 4 years or something.
Yeah.
Was that yeah? What was that? Was that just you want to try something new? Because like once you have like 3 years in Japan, I think you're pretty good. Like you can kind of choose now, right? Is that how you
Yeah.
feel? Like what's 3 years? You're like, yeah, you're good.
Sure. Yeah. My original plan was to be there like for 2 or 3 years on the first company and then change, just because I don't want to like have all my experience only in one place. And I've heard that people from our area, they grow by changing jobs a lot, because they usually change to a higher position. So my plan was about 3 years, but actually around the third year, I got like a very nice title, I think, like specialist. And I had a lot of new job, new things to do on my job, and that felt really felt like a very good chance to have new experiences in the job. So I stayed for 1 more year and then changed it.
So what exactly do you do? Are you a front end or server side? Are you just you're doing everything?
Yeah, it's web development and mobile development in full stack, I would say. Yeah, mostly in the old company, it's like SI, so it's like we do projects for other companies. So there are a lot of projects running at the same time on the company, and you change projects from time to time. So I used a lot of like tech, a lot of stack things. The company used a lot of Vue.js.
Yeah.
So Vue.js was one of the things I mostly used on my first company, but there was a very big project on Java as well, and one like using Drupal and Amplify and GraphQL and things like that. So I used a lot of tech in this, even PHP. Yeah. So I used a lot of tech in this first company, and in the second company is more like one main product on the company. So we use a lot of Ruby on Rails and Next.js.
Oh, Next is nice. I like it.
Yeah, I really, it's my main stack right now. It's becoming Next.js. Yeah.
That's awesome. Ruby, not so. I don't like it so much.
Yeah.
And PHP, I don't want to touch it. Java, I don't want to touch. I'm just a hipster front end guy. Stick to JS. A lot of people have messaged me and asked me, and I really hate this question. They go, "Which language should I study?" It's like the worst question.
Oh yeah.
But it makes sense because I would ask the same question, right, when I was coming up. But I know each country is different. If you think Japan and then the companies that you've worked with, what would you say in like Tokyo or Japan's case?
So it depends a lot on where you're gonna target. If you're gonna target web development, I would say that for Japan, Vue.js and Next.js are the main thing to learn, I think. Like almost all companies that are building new projects are using or Vue.js or React.
Yeah.
So in case of Vue.js, you can learn Next.js if you want to go one step further, or in case of React, you can learn Next.js. And for a specific language, I would say TypeScript is really good.
Yeah, that's mine too. It's a lot of Vue. Like it was a React before, like a few years ago. Everyone was asking me for React, but lately a lot of Vue.js with TypeScript. The problem is I haven't used TypeScript in a big project yet. So I have a project now. I'm like, oh man, I hope I'm writing this correctly. I hope I'm, it's as my VS code is not correctly set up for Vue.js and TypeScript. So I'm just, it's not working.
I see.
But I'm going through.
Yeah, those things are really important. Like when you're gonna do a project on Vue.js or Next.js, like having an IDE well set up, it just helps you a lot.
So now you're pretty much good for your career is kind of set. And I'm just trying to close up this to think, where do you want to go now? Like, you want to go to America, or do you want to stay in Tokyo? Like, what's this? You want to join FANG? Like, I don't know. What's your kind of thing you want to do next?
Yeah, I never actually targeted like a big company. So I kind of like the smaller way of doing things, like because people can have a lot of hats on one job, right? And learn a lot of things. So I kind of like this. And in case of salary, I think in Japan, the salary is really good for, especially if you compare it to Brazil.
Yeah.
But if you compare it to America, I think in America you can earn a lot more.
Yeah.
Like it's really hard to get a 6-figure salary in Japan, I think.
It's hard.
Yeah.
I think it is.
So I think in case of an employee life, I just reached like what I would want, but I'm starting to want to do something on my own, right?
Yeah.
So I'm starting to trying to create content as like same as you, like trying YouTube and Twitch and Twitter and stuff like that.
I'll link it in in the description, I'll link your, you want to link your Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube.
Yeah. Thank you a lot.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. So
you want to try and do your own thing, right? You want to try and a bit of
and I
freelancing
want to,
and
yeah, exactly. Ultimately I want like a small startup, solo startup that I can manage all by myself and have an earning similar to what I would get on my normal job. Like it's my next step.
Yeah, I think it's honestly, I think it's easy for you. If I can get like some projects, I know you can, because I saw some of your code and I was like, oh, this guy knows how to code. I'm just hacking my.
I never tried like freelancing and searching for a client, so I get very like anxious with if it's too hard to get like clients and stuff. So when I get to this point, I will ask you a lot of things.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you'll be fine either way. But yeah, of course, I'll help out. So I think we'll close it up here. Is there anything else you want to say about like your experience in Japan or?
Yeah, there are we didn't talk about like the level of language.
Yeah.
That you need to get here in Japan, and that's a question I get asked a lot. So
like N3, N2, N1 basically.
Yeah. So when I got it, my first job, I had just got the N2.
Yeah.
And it was really great because with N2 you can already, like, not all people, but if you can have a simple conversation, you can do good on an interview, right? So that's what it takes to get a good job, like being able to speak well on an interview.
So you're saying N2 is a kind of a solid base to be
in. N3, if you only have N3, it's still possible. I still have a lot of friends that did it with N3, and I think it's not like an impossible mission. But you need to practice a lot of speaking on interviews and stuff like that. Yeah.
I don't have anything, but I went to bars a lot and spoke to everyone drunk. So that's how I learned Japanese. Right? I don't have anything.
I have some friends that's learned the same way.
Yeah.
That's a good way to learn Japanese.
Sometimes the nomikai conversation is the most important conversation.
That's true.
So yeah, thanks for the interview. There's probably some things I missed out, but yeah, it was really interesting to hear your story, and probably someone out there might be in a similar situation or. Yeah, but thanks for sharing your story.
Yeah, no problem. My pleasure. And thank you for inviting me. Yeah, really good to be here.
Okay, then, everyone, thank you for watching. And this is Ravi in Japan, developer for 5 years plus. Yeah, living a good life. So thank you, everyone, and I'll see you again someday. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.